Good evening, and welcome to tonight's Zoning Board of Appeals virtual meeting. Per Executive Order 202.28 by the Governor of the State of New York, the town of Smithtown is required to continue hosting all public meetings, either in person, in which case we must prohibit physical public contact, or public meetings can be held remotely via conference call or similar service. Additionally, per the executive order, the town continues to live stream, record, and transcribe each meeting. As a reminder for any resident wishing to view tonight's meeting, you can do so by clicking on the Agendas and Meetings button on the homepage of the town's website at www.smithtownnewyork.gov. You are all here tonight seeking relief from the Smithtown zoning ordinances, and it's our job to try to help you achieve the relief you are requesting whenever possible. It's up to you to provide this board with precise, accurate information so we can make a decision based on the facts presented. This board must consider the 5 area considerations in order to render a decision, and they are as follows. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created by the granting of the variance. Number 2, whether the benefits sought by the applicant can be achieved by some method feasible for the applicant to pursue other than an area variance. Number 3, whether the requested area variance is substantial. Number 4, whether the proposed variance will have an adverse effect or impact on the physical or environmental conditions in the neighborhood or district. And number 5, whether the alleged difficulty was self-created, which consideration shall be relevant to the decision of the board, but shall not necessarily preclude the granting of the variance. Procedures for tonight's meeting. Cases will be called in the order they are advertised. After your case is announced by Mr. Donadio, the moderator will connect you to the meeting so you can present your case to the board. Once you have completed your presentation, if anyone on the board or in the planning department has any questions, they will be asked. Then any interested party who would like to speak on your case will be given one opportunity to do so. Then the applicant will be given the opportunity to respond to any questions and concerns, after which the case will be closed. Once the public hearing is closed, no further information will be accepted concerning the case. You can contact the planning department after 12 p.m. tomorrow for the status of your case. Blaze?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first case on the agenda, case number 18523, John Papadakis, 158 Lillian Road, Nesconset. The location of the property, the east side of is the south side of Lillian Road, 390 feet east of Gibbs Pond Road. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to decrease the minimum distance from any lot line from 6 feet to 2 feet for an existing 96 square foot wood shed and existing outdoor fireplace, to increase the maximum permitted paved surface in the rear yard from 25% to 37%.
Your meeting ID followed by.
Go ahead.
That's it.
Is that it, please?
That's it.
Okay. Can I have the applicant, please?
Hi, my name's John Papadakis. I'm the homeowner of 158 Lillian Road, Nesconset.
Okay, John, are you going to present your case tonight to us?
No, I will not. My architect, Carmine Grasso, will.
Okay, fine. Carmine, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Okay, could you introduce yourself?
Absolutely.
Spell your last name so we get it correct on the record, and give your address, please.
Absolutely. My name is Carmine Grasso from Cataldo Grasso Architects, spelled Grasso. My office is located at 14 Carl Avenue in Smithtown.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. I'm representing John Papadakis today for his variance requests at his house at 158 Lillian Road in Nesconset. As Blaze had said, we're asking for variances for a shed, an outdoor fireplace, and paving in the rear yard. Starting with the shed is 11 feet tall and is set back just over 2 feet from the rear and the side property lines. It's well buffered from the neighboring properties, as you can see in these photos. There's a lot of trees around it. And it actually would be permitted in this location if it was 1 foot taller. As you can see in the photos, it's built on there's a slab with the wood floor structure of the shed, lifting it up a little higher. And that between the slab and the structure of the floor, that's what's pushing it over the 10-foot height limitation, which would allow it to be in this location at 2 feet from the property lines. Going to the next request is for the paving in the rear yard. The paving in the rear yard includes an outdoor kitchen, which you obviously see in the photos here. The paving takes up 37% of the required rear yard, where 25 is the maximum allowed. The normal concerns regarding the paving usually revolve around runoff for stormwater. As you can see in the photos, there's a very decent grass buffer around the back of this paved area and along the sides, and also around by the fireplace and the other side of the house. The paving system that's designed there is actually designed to allow water to run off through it, through RCA that's underneath the paved surface. And there's also a drain in the outdoor kitchen area, which allows any water that gets in there to run off into that drain as well. When you look at the paved area, you'll see that the closest it comes is to the back property line, where that outdoor kitchen is, where you see the wall around the outdoor kitchen, and that's 7.5 feet from the rear property line. So we feel that that's the drainage issue that would be involved typically with paving area is really not going to be an issue in this case. Now getting to the next variance request, it's regarding the location of the outdoor fireplace, which you see in the lower right-hand corner of the photos here. I have to say I'm a little confused why we're even asking for a variance for this fireplace. The top of the chimney of the fireplace is 8'10" above grade. At this high point, the minimum distance that the chimney is from the property lines is 5 feet. The wood storage areas on the two sides of the fireplace are the parts that are closest to the property line, which is 2 feet or so, just a little over 2 feet away, and they're only 3'2" in height. The reason I'm a little confused as to why it's required is the zoning ordinance allows an accessory structure that's less than 150 square feet in area and less than 10 feet in height to be 2 feet from any lot line. Obviously, this structure is less than 10 feet in height. It's just a fireplace, so it's not 150 square feet, and it's just over 2 feet away from the property line. If there are concerns about the fact that it's a fireplace, I'd like to just bring to the attention of the board that the fire marshal was called out to the property on May 31st, 2020 to look at the fireplace. He examined it, and while he was there, he found that there were no fire safety issues at that time and felt that everything was according to code regarding that. So we feel that request really is not required, but if the board does deem that is required, we feel that it should be approved because it really kind of meets what the zoning ordinance was intending. I did submit letters from 4 of the neighbors that are in favor of the application, including the one neighbor that is directly adjacent to the property it would be on the west side of the property, that is directly adjacent to the fireplace. When we had taken into regard the area variance considerations, whether there's an undesirable change in the neighborhood or the character of the neighborhood based on the variance, we feel that there isn't. We feel that the structures and the paving have existed on the property since 2018. The shed is well buffered from the adjacent properties, as I had said previously. The fireplace is only 9 feet high at its highest point, and that at the highest point again is 5 feet from the property lines. And the paving can't be seen from the neighboring properties and does provide adequate drainage. The second consideration is whether the benefit is sought by the applicant can be achieved some other method. No, we don't feel that's the case. The fireplace, as you can see from the photos, is a masonry structure. It's very like a solid structure built on foundations, and it would be, I don't like to use the word impossible, so I'll say it would be extremely difficult to remove or move. And the shed, if it was 1 foot shorter than the height that it is, if it was 10 feet rather than 11 feet, it would be permitted where it is. So we feel that that it can't be achieved by another method. Third consideration is whether we feel that the request is substantial. We don't feel that it's substantial based on the minimal height difference that with the shed, and that the paving provides adequate drainage, so it doesn't affect the neighboring properties. The fourth consideration is whether the variance will have an adverse effect on the environment. Again, we feel the answer to that is no. Shed's well screened. The pavers, again, provide runoff, so there's not a runoff issue there. And the fireplace was deemed safe by the fire marshal, so we don't think there's any environmental or other physical effects that this would have. And lastly, in regards to the area variance considerations, number 5 is whether the difficulty was self-created. I'd love to say no, but yes, it is self-created because my client had these structures installed, but when he had them installed, he was thinking that they conformed with the zoning ordinances. He was unaware of the maximum area of paving, the regulation regarding that when he did the paving area. But other than that, he felt that everything met the zoning requirements when it was being built. So that is my presentation regarding these variances. We would request that the board look favorably upon them, and if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer what you have.
Okay, thank you. So the chimney on that fireplace is 3 feet over the fence?
Yes, it's a 6-foot fence and the chimney is 8'10", so it's just under 3 feet higher than the fence.
Is there any reason why it has to be that high? Is it for draft?
Actually, yes, it is for draft. And what happens is if the chimney was shorter, it would not allow the any like embers or whatever that would come out from the fireplace that could possibly get up through the chimney. It would, what happens is they burn off in the chimney at this height. If it was made lower, they wouldn't burn off and they would be susceptible to going into the air.
Okay. And what's the material that you're usually burning in there? Is it just wood or is it coal or?
I'd have to ask John that. I would assume it's wood because they have there's as you can see, there's compartments on either side of the fireplace for wood storage. So I would say it would more tend to be wood that's burning in there. But if you would like, John Papadakis, the applicant, may be able to answer that for you.
Yes, logs of wood.
Just wood?
Yeah, logs of wood that I purchased at Lowe's or Home Depot. That's been dried.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone else on the board have any questions on this application?
I do. I think I got a question for you, Mr. Grasso. I guess the concern you have with whether it should be the subject of a variance request or not is basically the call of the chief building official. Did you have a conversation with him about what his opinion was on why it needs a variance?
We did have a brief conversation about it, and I think it was more that because we were going for the variance for the shed, which had that height, the height restriction as well, that this was a second structure and it would, that's why they felt that it would probably need a variance. So I didn't really contest it when they asked for that, so.
Okay, thanks.
Concerned about the shed.
Does anyone else on the board have any questions?
I have a question, Chairman. Chairman?
Yeah, go ahead, Steve.
Mr. Grasso, do you have any evidence or documentation of the fire marshal's determination first for the board?
No, I do not. I just have my client, Mr. Papadakis, had some information saying that he was out there. He had come out there on the 31st of May of last year, and he wasn't home at the time. I believe he spoke with the neighbor and had told the neighbor that everything was okay, but he might be able to speak to that a little better than me.
Is there any other evidence that you might be able to offer of the safety of where this fireplace is?
No, I did actually have a conversation. I'm trying to think. It was probably over a year ago when we first got involved in this. And I'm trying to think if I spoke to a fire. I don't remember because it was over a year ago. So I probably shouldn't put it in the record because I remember having a conversation and finding that it was good in the location that it was. There was no code issues with it, but I couldn't give you the person I spoke to, so it's probably not.
Do you know why the fire marshal was there?
I believe he was called. He got called out there from a complaint by one of the neighbors.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Anyone else?
I'd like to follow up. I'd like to follow up on that.
Okay.
Mr. Gargiulo's question.
Who's speaking?
John Papadakis. I apologize.
Thank you.
I was present. It was May 31st. The fire marshals did show up. They looked at the fireplace. They said it looks good, and they left. So
What was the neighbor's complaint, John, that brought him out?
I'm not sure. You'd have to ask the neighbor. I believe she's signed on.
Okay. All right. Anything else, John?
No, that's it. Thanks.
Okay. Anyone else on the board have any questions?
No, thank you.
No. Planning?
Just one question for either Mr. Papadakis or for Carmine. Why was the fireplace built in the corner of the backyard and not closer to the paved patio where the outdoor kitchen is? It seems like it's kind of off on its own, over in the corner, out of the way. Something that size might have been a little bit more appropriate near the back of your house.
I think John could probably speak to that as to why the location was shown. I would think that it's kind of the reason that you were saying that it's kind of out of the way and in a quiet area is more than likely the reason, but John could probably answer that better.
Yeah, it was built there just to maximize the size of the property.
Okay. And just some information for the board and anybody who's signed in and participating in the meeting. As Carmine did mention, he did submit letters in support of the application from several of the applicant's neighbors. Additionally, we have received several letters of complaint from some of the adjacent neighbors that wanted to make sure that that information was put on the record. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Blaise. Now we'll open up to the general audience.
Yes. Hello.
Chairman. Hold on a second. I know you're eager. Hang on a second, Mary Beth.
Thank you.
Yes, I'm going to call on Mary Beth. I just want to take the time to remind everybody, if you wish to be heard on an application and you're not the applicant, you could use the chat function, or you can use the raise your hand function. I will open it up to Mary Beth Boncorsa. Just please say and pronounce your name and also give us your address for the record.
Hi, my name is Mary Beth Bonacorsa. I'm at 21 Grice Avenue, Wisconsin. I am directly behind that fireplace.
I'm sorry, Mary Beth. Can you just spell your last name so we get it correct for the record, please?
Of course. It's B as in boy, Onacorsa.
Thank you.
Bonacorsa. Yeah, and I'm directly behind that fireplace. And I can tell you this, that fireplace is a fire hazard. They talk about the height of it. If you notice at the top, it's a flat top with open sides, and the ash and the embers shoot out directly into my property line. And let me tell you something, it was me that called the fire marshal last May because Mr. Papadakis started that fire at like 9:30 in the morning. I was having company that day. And by the time my company got there, there was ash flying in my backyard. It looked like it was snowing in my backyard. And when I tell you my guests had ash on their heads, on their food, in their plates, in their drinks, that we had to go inside because we can't even sit outside. When that fire is roaring, those embers shoot out like it is 4th of July. When I tell you, as God is my witness, that is a fire hazard waiting to happen. And I live in fear every time that fireplace is lit, that something in my backyard is going to go on fire, number one. Number two, the billowing smoke is disgusting. You can't sit out there. You can't be out there. A structure of that size, that massive, should not be allowed to be built on top of another neighbor's property. It's a fire hazard. It poses as a safety hazard. It's an eyesore, and I should be able to be out in my property and enjoy my property, and I am unable to be out there when that structure is lit. Mr. Papadakis does not put 1 or 2 logs in there. He loads that thing up. That you have to realize those embers are shooting out of the top of that. So those embers have to get high enough, and that ash has to get high enough to shoot out of the sides of that. And it comes right into my property, right on my property, in my face, and the surrounding neighbor's face. It's a fire hazard, it's a health hazard, it's an eyesore, and let me tell you something, none of you in the town would want that built on top of your property, I assure you.
Can you pull
Right. Is that it, Mary Beth?
Well, I wish all of you could just come here for one day and see where that fireplace is and what I have to stare at every day and what I have to be subjected to every day. And I appreciate your attention to this very, very serious matter. I have small nieces and nephews that come over here, and they're not able to come. We're not able to be outside. We're not able to enjoy anything. So I really appreciate the seriousness. It is a fire hazard. It should not have been built there. And if it had been done legally in the first place, that structure would not be sitting there. Because Mr. Papadakis wanted to, put it nice in the far corner of his property, that doesn't mean that it should be put on top of mine. So thank you very much for your time and your attention. I really appreciate it.
All right. Thank you very much. Thank you. Who's next?
I'll speak a little. My name is Charles Silverman. I'm a neighbor of Mary's. Mary Beth.
Charles, can you state your name, spell your last name, and give the address for the record, please?
Oh, wait a second. He's probably with Mary Beth. I just muted her. That's my fault. I'm sorry. Let me give her a second. I just hit a request to unmute Mary Beth. There you go.
Okay, great.
Okay, good. No problem. My name is Charles Silverman. I live across from Mary Beth. My last name is spelled Silverman. And I did get one of the letters in the mail. And I've been following this whole thing since it happened. And the problem with the fireplace. And it doesn't seem like the shed itself is a big deal. That being 2 feet from the property line really doesn't affect anybody's health or concerns of a fire hazard or something like that. But with the fireplace, it truly does. This isn't some made up thing, that Mary Beth is embellishing or whatever. And if any of you wanted to come over and see it and operational and see what it causes, it's really pretty harmful. And we're worried about over here. We're worried about things catching on fire, and it does put ashes and embers all over everything. Not only the picnic table, into her swimming pool. She does have 2 nieces that have asthma, and it's hard to have them over in the backyard. It just seems like that to me with the fireplace itself, that shouldn't even be up for question or for a variance as far as being allowed. as far as you can change the rules on something like that. The shed, sure, you can change the rules on something like that or vote on the rules or whatever, but the fireplace truly is a health hazard and a fire hazard, and the rules are the rules on that one. There shouldn't be room for adjustment on that.
All right. Thank you, Charles.
No problem.
Who's next?
Chairman, I don't have anybody with their hands up or in the chat function.
No, no one else?
No.
Okay. With that said, can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda, case number 18524, Michael Salcido, 593 Landing Avenue, Smithtown. The location of the property, the east side of Landing Avenue, 628 feet south of Landing Road. The property is zoned R43. The applicant is requesting variances to permit environmentally sensitive lands to be altered where depth of groundwater is equal to or less than 10 feet, to reduce the total side yards from 43 to 37 feet for a proposed 21 by 41 in-ground swimming pool.
Good evening. Can I have the applicant, please?
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. We've submitted the affidavits of posting and mailing this afternoon. As you can see, the dynamics of this lot is very rare. It's a flag lot, and it's a crooked kind of flag lot that was mapped in 1993. Most of the property to the rear is contained and controlled by a scenic easement. And also there's a drainage easement. So the placement of the pool is really the only area that would make sense for my client to build the swimming pool. The depth of groundwater actually is 9 feet, so it's a 1 foot concern that doesn't meet the 10 foot requirement. You can also see the setbacks on each side of the swimming pool are 27 feet. So the pool has no effect on the neighbor that fronts on Landing Avenue or the neighbor of Lot 3, which were part of that map done in 1993, excuse me. We don't feel that the variance has any impact on adjacent properties. Again, as you can see, this is really the only place to put the pool. And lot number 1 faces Landing Avenue. So we don't feel that it has an effect on that lot. And on the other side, it's also a flag lot, but again, it's 27 feet away. So it's a good distance from any neighbor. As I said, the groundwater is 9 feet instead of 10 feet. And that's because of the existing topography of the property. We need that variance. Whether would have any effect on the environment. No, we're going to be building a swimming pool pursuant to all the rules and regulations of the town, and there will be no work done in any easement or scenic easement area. Was the difficulty self-created? no, we haven't built the pool. The topography is really the issue that creates the difficulty in the depth of groundwater. And also, if you look at this kind of flag lot dog leg piece, it's really a tough piece to do any work on, given the fact that the scenic easement probably takes up almost half the square footage of the property. So with that, we ask the board for its favorable consideration. If you have any questions, I'll try and answer them.
All right, thank you, Mr. Tramarko. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
No, Chairman.
No. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Thank you, Mr.
Thank you.
Tramarko.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
The next application on the agenda is case number 18526, Robert Corso, 24 Bonnie Drive, Fort Salonga.
Oops, we skip one, please.
Did we skip one? Oh, I'm sorry. You are correct. Went right over that. The next case on the agenda is case number 18525, Richard and Michelle Block, 63 Lindgren Avenue, Smithtown. The location of the property, the north side of Lindgren Avenue, 438 feet east of Lorraine Court. The property is zoned R21. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard distance to a lot line from 8 feet to 1 foot for an existing 2,400 square foot deck.
Can I have the applicant, please?
Yes, my name is Richard Block. I am the
Richard,
homeowner.
you going to do your own presentation tonight?
Yes, but I'm starting to think that maybe that's a bad idea.
Why?
I don't know. I'm just kidding. Yeah, I'm going to represent myself. So,
Could you just introduce yourself again and state your address for the record, please?
Sure. My name is Richard Block, B-L-O-C-K. I live at 63 Lindgren Avenue in Smithtown. I'm the homeowner since 2002. When I purchased the home, there was a pool with a CO and there was a deck that did not have one, which I came to find out. So I'm looking to legalize my deck. The positioning of the deck close to the lot line is because of the position of the pool. The pool is probably, I'm going to guess 7 feet from the lot line. So there's about 4 feet of decking around the deep end of the pool so that you could walk around the pool. I don't have any visuals, but I could stick my phone out the window if you want to see what I'm talking about.
No, it's fine. We have stuff here.
Okay, cool. So that's really the story. I'm just I spoke directly with the neighbor that this could potentially impact, and he has no problem with the pool. It's been there for probably 30 years, 40 years.
The deck is basically at ground level, correct? Oh,
yes. Yeah, it's an in-ground pool. And on the lot line, it is on the ground, the deck.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
No, Chairman.
All right. With that said, can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you and good night.
Appreciate your time. Thank you.
Now, the next case on the agenda is case number 18526, Robert Corso, 24 Bonnie Drive, Fort Salonga. The location of the property is the east side of Bonnie Drive, 1,978 feet north of Fort Salonga Road, New York State Route 25A. The property is zoned R43. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum side yard from 24 feet to 12 feet for a proposed 440 square foot detached garage.
Could I have the applicant, please?
Here present, Bob Corso. Steve Keller is my architect and should be on the line as well.
I
Okay.
am, if you can hear
Steve?
me. I'm
Okay.
also,
Yeah, we can hear you, Steve. Steve, can you
Okay.
just state your name, spell your last name, and give your address for the record, please?
sure. It's Stephen Keller, Keller. I'm the architect, and office is at 17 Keeler Street, Keeler, Huntington, New York, 11743.
Okay, thank you, Steve. You go ahead.
We had started the project back earlier in the year. I believe the homeowner, Bob, has already spoken with the neighbor directly to his south and received his verbal permission. In addition to that, the town building department asked that we submit a letter from the local homeowners association, which is Forest Beach Country Club, which we submitted to the building department on April 30th. And the letter simply stated that they had reviewed the size and location of the structure and they had no objections to it. The structure is a small detached garage. It's 22 feet by 20 feet, 440 square feet in total. It is being proposed to be located at the end of the existing driveway, which would have the least amount of impact on both the property and the driveway. So if you look at the pictures and you see the Belgian block curbing, that would be the front wall of the proposed detached garage. We kept it as tight to the existing house that the driveway went, which is why we're before you this evening for a 12-foot side yard setback. We studied the allowable zoning for a detached garage. If we pushed it further into the rear yard, we would be allowed to have a 10-foot side yard setback. But we felt that impact the trees, the landscaping, and probably even the neighbor to the south, since it kind of pushes it back more in line with his swimming pool. So I guess the first item in what you had asked for this evening, we feel it would not produce a negative impact to the neighborhood. We feel that it's in keeping with the residential character, the style of the existing house. It's going to match the siding, roof pitch, and roof shingles. Number two, it's not substantial. We could have considered a larger garage, but we wanted to keep the footprint to a minimum just to accommodate 2 cars that the homeowners own. 3, can it be achieved by an alternative method? In theory, yes, it could be pushed back further, but then it creates a much greater impact on the landscaping, additional trees, and so forth. 4, variance would not cause a adverse effect because we're using the existing driveway without further increasing it, and we're impacting the landscape area by just 20 feet. And then 5th, what's the difficulty created by the owner? And the answer, of course, would be yes, but we have stated in the previous 4 answers why that location that's selected and before you this evening is the best location, because it impacts the least amount of property. It keeps the driveway at the same exact size as it has been, and just a minor push into the landscape area. I'd be happy to entertain any questions from the board.
Thank you, Steve. Is there anyone on the board who have any questions on this application?
No,
No,
thank you.
thank you.
No. Planning?
No, thank you.
Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
No, Chairman.
No. With that said, can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, gentlemen. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Have a good evening.
The next case on the agenda is case number 18527, Ketley Faustin and Guy Emmanuel Faustin, 2 Lindell Avenue, Wisconsin. The location of the property, the south side of Lindell Avenue between Browns Road and Forest Avenue. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the required front yard on Browns Road from 25 feet to 14 feet, to reduce the required front yard on Forest Avenue from 25 feet to 10 feet for an existing 240 square foot, 5-foot high wood deck.
Okay, can I have the applicant, please?
Hi, good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. My name is Sherry Hillenberg. I'm here for Building Permits Plus, 19 Stillwood Road, Brookhaven, New York. We're
Okay,
representing the owners.
have you submitted all the necessary paperwork?
Yes, we did today, about 10 o'clock this morning.
Okay, fine. Okay, again, I'm sorry. Can you just state your name, spell your last name, and give the address for the record, please?
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
we do not have a power of attorney for this application. Are the applicants present?
Oh,
If they are, they're not, they don't have their phone, I'm sorry, their computers labeled with their names. If they are on the phone or they are on the computer, if they could just use the chat function, I'll find them and grab them.
all right.
Didn't we provide an authorization form?
Authorization letter.
Power of attorney you need.
Oh, no, that wasn't on my checklist,
No, we'll have
unfortunately.
to, go with that.
Hold on a second, I'm seeing them, hang on. Joel, the new owners, if that helps, is that them? Joel,
No.
They just bought it yesterday.
okay. I have the new owners on the line, but nobody else has come forward.
Can you contact the old owners and see if they can get online?
Yes, we can.
All right, why don't you do that? Meanwhile, we'll move on to another case. And when you're ready, you just let us know and then we'll go back to your case.
I'm sure they'll be able to call in.
I'm sorry?
I'm sure they'll be able to call in.
Okay, fine.
Thank you.
All right. Blaze, you want to go to the next case?
Sure. The next case on the agenda is case number 18529, Teresa Engel, 2 Haven Lane, Smithtown. The location of the property, the west side of Haven Lane, 212 feet north of Tanglewood Drive. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard from 50 feet to 42 feet for an existing 97 square foot deck.
Could I have the applicant, please?
Hi, good evening, everybody. My name is Teresa Engel.
Okay, hi Teresa, how are you?
I'm fine.
Are you going to present your own case tonight?
Yes, I really actually didn't know I could have a representative. So it's me. It's me.
Okay.
I hope we can, answer questions, but
I just want to make sure, that's all.
no,
So-
thank you.
The floor is yours. Go right ahead.
Okay, I was working with Captain Permit, an expediting company, to actually get a permit for a CO, I should say, for the back room, which was an add-on. And the application was denied, saying that the deck was 4 feet or so. I guess I'm not in variance, so I had to apply for the variance. So they were assisting me with the variance application. So I just basically what you see is that the deck was built, or the add-on was built in the early 1980s. The house was owned by my father-in-law, Ralph Engel. So the deck was actually added onto that structure around that time. Obviously, the wood was repaired because it was not in good shape. But that's what I'm seeking a variance for the deck that's on the back part of the house. And then from there, I will be seeking the CO for the back part, that extension.
Okay, great. You did a good job.
Oh, thank you.
Is there anyone on the board that has any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
Planning?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have a question for the applicant. Apparently in the environmental department's preliminary letter, it states that upon reviewing the floor plans of the house, it appears that there could possibly be a separate living dwelling within the existing single-family home. I took a look at the plans and I did look at, I guess it must have been the addition that the applicant's father-in-law had previously constructed. And it appears that it is actually separate from the rest of the house. It doesn't appear that there's any access between the main portion of the house and that separate living area. So my question for the applicant would be, is that a separate living area that another family member is living in, or?
No, the extension, but it was just like in a sunroom. There's an opening right there from the dining room into the sunroom. So it's just like an added room just for living space. Like a sunroom.
Okay, I think he's actually, if you look at the plans that are up on the screen, if you look at the first floor plan.
Oh, if you're talking about the garage, that was also, I was working with the expedited to obtain permits for the garage that was converted into living space.
Yes, so my question to you is, because it appears that you cannot access this living space from another portion of the house, is this a separate area that someone lives in?
No, it was actually just added room, and there is access from the garage area that was converted into kind of like an extra living room, kitchen area. There is access to the main part of the house.
Okay.
If that's what you're asking.
Yes, that is what I'm asking. Just looking at the plan that's on the screen, it doesn't appear like it's going into another portion of the house, but it is possible.
There's like a hallway and a back door to the backyard. And in that hallway, there's a door to that room. So there is like an open access. I mean, it's got a close, you can close the door.
Okay, I see where Matt has the hand right on the plan. There's a, as you said, a hallway with a door.
Right, so the door is right, if you move the hand up, it's down just a little bit. That's the back door. Now bring the hand down right there.
There it is, right there.
Right, that's the door right there.
And that goes to the stairs going into the living room or the rec room.
Right, that hallway, if you kind of bring the hand down a little bit, those stairs go up into the living room.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to clarify that because it was a concern of the environmental departments.
Yeah.
No,
How many kitchens do you have in that house?
Well, it's like a small little utility kitchen. If you look down in the by the den area, it just has a sink, a little refrigerator. It's kind of like it was used for parties outside on the outside deck.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
No, Chairman.
No. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Are we going back to the previous application or moving forward?
I don't know. Are they ready?
No one's come through yet.
No? Okay.
I don't know. I'm unable to get in touch with the owner. Is it possible to present the application tonight and deliver a power of attorney tomorrow?
No.
No, that's not. That would be no. Okay.
Okay, we'll deliver the power of attorney tomorrow. Put us over for the next hearing if possible.
Let's see when I continue to try. Another half hour.
Yeah. I could put you on for the next meeting, which is June 22nd.
No
Thank you.
problem. We'll take that.
All right. In the meantime, we'll probably be here for another half an hour.
Tried and it goes to voicemail.
Oh, okay. By any chance, if they happen to return your call, and we're still live, we'll put you through.
We'll click on, no problem.
Okay.
Okay. Otherwise, we'll see you on the 22nd, June 22nd.
Same time, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, 6 p.m.
Same time, same station, right?
Same station.
Thank you very much.
Okay, thank
You're
you.
welcome.
All right. Okay.
guys.
The next case on the agenda, case number 18530, Vincent Spirio, 11 Westbrook Lane, Smithtown. The location of the property, the east side of Westbrook Lane, 146 feet south of the State Road. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is asking for a variance to reduce the minimum rear yard from 50 feet to 34 feet, which is existing at 43 feet, for a proposed 385 square foot first floor addition, adding to a lawful non-conforming structure.
Can I have the applicant, please?
Vincent Spirio, the applicant of 11 Westbrook Lane.
Okay. Are you going to present your own case tonight?
I am not. My architect, Walter Hyde, will present my case.
Okay, fine. Thank you. Walter, you there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Walter, can you just state your name, spell your last name so we get it correct for the record, and give your address, please?
You got it. It's Walter Hyde, Hyde, and the address is 150 North Delaware Avenue in Lindenhurst, New York.
Okay, fine. Thank you very much.
Okay, so quick small clarification here. We are proposing a 385 square foot single story addition to be added to an existing single family residence. We're requesting 34'6". It appeared as 34 feet. We don't need the 34, but we'll take the 34'6". It's a small 6-inch difference there. So I'm going to jump in right to those 5 points. I love that you guys mentioned those in the beginning there. So as I stated, this is an existing single family residence. It's proposed to remain so. So I do not believe there's going to be any impact to the character of the neighborhood. There is no other way to achieve this project. We're looking for a single story first floor bedroom. The house is not that large. They have mostly public spaces on that first story. So this is going to be the first bedroom to appear on that first level. It's best for maneuverability. Vincent's mother was going to be moving into the home. She's a little older, so going up and down the stairs is really not an option. I don't believe that our request is substantial. Again, there's no impact on the area, and I don't believe that there's much of an impact on the physical environment. It's not a large addition. It's a residential, single story, 385 square feet. I don't believe this difficulty was self-created at all. We are just unfortunately working with a pre-existing non-conforming condition of this corner lot that also has a radius. So it was somewhat difficult to work with. The lot coverage is not substantial at all on this property. It's got quite a lot of land here, but it's just difficult to work around the zoning ordinance due to that shape of the lot.
All right, thank you. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thanks.
Yeah, questions.
Planning?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. The Environmental Department issued a preliminary statement regarding the application. And in their memorandum, they did mention that they had concerns about the possibility of there being a separate living space or dwelling within the existing single-family home, or perhaps it was proposed that this area would be developed with this application. Matt, if you could bring up the floor plans for the house, thank you. The Environmental Department's concern was that they did see a separate area with its own kitchen that apparently does not have access from one portion of the house to that area. And my question for you would be, are you maintaining or proposing to construct a separate living area for a family member?
Yeah, I'll jump in on that. Definitely no funny business here. I did speak to Crystal, and there was some confusion on her end too. There's a pocket door proposed to be connected to the den. So there's not a second kitchen. It's really just a pantry with a small sink. They might not even put the sink in, just for a separate Keurig machine, something she could, make herself a quick coffee. The kitchen, as you can see, it's right there. So this is only 385 square feet. It would be really tough to try to turn this into some kind of apartment. I can understand the concern, but that is not the desire here. It is connected to the main structure. There is absolutely no second kitchen.
Could you just let us know so we could identify it on the plan where that?
Sure, if you move that just to the right and down a little bit. Yep, stop right there. There's a door right above the chimney, right above where your hand is. There's a pocket door that connects to the den, to the left of where that is. Yep, right through there. Yep, you just went through it. Yep.
Okay, so there's only going to be a bedroom, closet, bathroom, obviously, and a small pantry.
Yeah, I don't know if the town has seen this yet, but this has been a somewhat unfortunate kind of common request. People don't have the money these days to move around. They don't do large additions. They're not interested in doing a mother-daughter. It's just not worth spending all that money. You don't know how long this person may or may not be staying with you. So this is kind of like an efficiency bedroom suite addition that, I'm sure Mr. Spirio will use down the road. God forbid anything were to happen, but it's definitely not an apartment.
Okay, thank you very much.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
Yes, Chairman. I'm just going to call on, Betty Hines. Give me a second to hit their unmute button here. Okay. All right, I just sent you a little note to, there you go.
Hello?
Hi.
Hi. I'm Beth Hines. My name is spelled Hynes. I'm just listening in for my mother, Betty Hines, who lives next door at 9 Westbrook Lane. She was just wondering if that would change anything on her fence line at all. It doesn't sound like it. This is an interior renovation, is that right?
That's correct.
Yeah,
There's no proposed changes to any fences.
Exactly. So that was the only thing she was wondering about, concerned about, but this seems just fine.
Okay.
No
Thank you,
concerns.
Beth. That was it, Beth?
That was it. No concerns.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else in the audience that wants to be heard on this application?
No, Chairman.
No. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you and good evening.
Thank you all
Thank
for your
you.
time this evening.
Thank you.
The next case on the agenda, case number 17567, Elite Towers LP, 515 Old Dock Road, Kings Park. The location of the property, the north side of Old Dock Road, 1,180 feet west of St. John Lynn Road. The property is zoned NB. The applicant is requesting variances to increase the height of a structure for a monopole from 35 feet to 150 feet, to reduce the fall zone of a monopole from habitable structures or outdoor areas from 300 feet to 40 feet for the existing bar. Reduce the fall zone of a monopole from property lines from 150 feet to 25 feet and 42 feet in the rear yard. To reduce the setback of an equipment shelter from any lot line from 3 feet to 0. To variance of the requirement that a PWSF be located behind a principal building and allow it to be located on the side of a principal building for the existing bar. To reduce the minimum required lot frontage from 200 feet to 163 feet to reduce the rear yard setback from 50 feet to 0, to reduce the required buffer planting strip from 10 feet to 0, permit environmentally sensitive lands to be altered where depth of groundwater is equal to or less than 10 feet, to reduce the required buildable lot area from 7,500 square feet to 0 due to high groundwater, to increase the maximum permitted gross floor area of the lot from 25% to 100% due to high groundwater.
Could I have the applicant, please?
Yes, good evening. My name is Greg Alvarez from Amato Law Group, 666 Old Country Road, Garden City, New York, here on behalf of the applicants Elite Towers LP, New Singular Wireless PCS LLC, doing business as AT&T, and T-Mobile. Just to note, we did file our proof of notice this morning with the planning office. We also have on hand representatives from each of the applicants. Just to give you a little bit of background before we introduce a couple of folks, Elite Towers is a tower company that constructs and manages wireless facilities on behalf of wireless carriers and public safety agencies. AT&T and T-Mobile are wireless carriers, and they're also public utilities under the laws of the state of New York. As mentioned by Mr. Donadio, we're seeking area variance relief this evening in connection with a communication facility located at 515 Old Dock Road, Kings Park. A little background on this application. It has some history. Originally, we filed with the town back in 2015 and then proceeded with our initial hearing before the town board on in January of 2016. We presented a tier 3 special exception application, which is part of the requirements needed from the town. At the conclusion of that hearing, we were directed to this board to seek the area variances mentioned previously. We first appeared before this board back in June of 2016, at which point we presented our application in full. We reappeared back in, and then we reappeared in October of 2016 to answer some questions that were raised by the state and by the board. And at that point, we believe for the most part, we had, if not all of the issues addressed at that time. However, the secret designation had not been completed, and so we needed to await that. In December of 2016, the town board actually issued a positive declaration on this application, which necessitated us to proceed with an EIS. After a lengthy process with that, the town board just this past May 20th accepted the final EIS as part of this application for public comment. That public comment period ends tomorrow.
You keep cutting in and out with your audio.
Oh, can you hear me any better now? Let's see. Is that any better?
It's fine for right now. Yeah.
Okay, just let me know if it changes. Again, the property itself, 515 Old Dock Road. It's approximately, it's actually just over an acre. Designated District 800, Section 8, Block 4, Lot 3 on the Suffolk County tax map. It's on the west side of Old Dock Road, just north of Orchard Road. It's own neighborhood business and currently has 4 structures on the property, 2 of which are residences. The third is a garage, and then the 4th is operated as the Shanahan's Bar and Grill. The surrounding property, this is a unique property with the uses that are on there. It's actually surrounded essentially by vacant property or property that was formerly part of the Kings Park Psychiatric Center campus. Across Old Dock Road as well, up a little ways, is the Nissaquag River State Park. To the rear of the property is a forested area that I believe is currently owned by the St. John Land Nursing Center. So the property itself is actually surrounded on all sides by that type of existing condition. The nearest residence, aside from the residents on the property.
By all sides of that, all sides by that type. I don't know, I lost you. You cut out.
I'm sorry. Yes, all sides by vacant property, or I'm sorry, by the existing conditions that I just described. The closest residential property, aside from that, on the site is over 750 feet away in the Twin Oaks development. The proposed build is composed of two essential components. The first is a 150-foot concealment pole, and the second is a fenced compound which will contain the ground equipment that will serve both the wireless carriers as well as any public safety agencies. The pole itself is located within the compound, and this is the major change that resulted has occurred since we last appeared before you, when the pole was originally proposed in the middle of the property. Out of the EIS process, the direction was to relocate the pole within the compound, which we believed was a good one. And based on that, that modified the variances to where they are today and what we're seeking. Essentially, the setback variances changed. Originally, we were trying to comply as best we could, but based on the conditions of the property and the desire to relocate the pole further away from existing activities, we relocated the pole inside the compound. The other major change from 2016 is that the co-applicant, and back then, was actually Verizon Wireless. They have since dropped out, but AT&T and T-Mobile have since assumed their roles. As mentioned, the area variances that are being sought are largely the same, except for those modifications to the fall zone and setback requirements. And when we appeared in 2016, we submitted two reports that supported our belief and our proofs that we meet the criteria set forth under 267-B3 of the town law and 322-83B of the town code, which discusses the area variance criteria we've heard about this evening. Based on those reports that we submitted, both a planning report from the VHB and an appraisal report from Lynch Appraisals, for which we still stand on the conclusions therein, we believe that the benefits that will be generated by this property will far exceed any detriments that will be created, largely because of the location of the property so far away from other existing uses. The other point we'd like to make as well is that the we had also submitted another report that confirmed that we meet the FCC emission standards that are required to be met. That report has just been modified as well based on the change to AT&T and T-Mobile, so those just had to be modified slightly. But the conclusions are the same. We are well below the FCC standards. We're actually based on the figures in our report. The emissions are expected to be about 1% of the allowable 100% standard under the FCC, which means we would be approximately 100 times below the FCC maximum permitted emissions standard. So we submit that as well into the record. So I have a few folks here this evening just to say a few words, and because really the whole purpose of this application is the need to supply reliable communications within this area. Both AT&T and T-Mobile are experiencing severe coverage deficiencies in the area, and this facility will serve to meet those needs so that reliable communications will be provided to subscribers in the area along the provided roadways. And most importantly, due to the location of this property in proximity to the Mississauga River State Park and the Bluff, It will provide needed coverage for any emergency services that may be necessary for these folks. Not just connectivity, but also the needed emergency services that actually has come up in the past. I believe we had submitted evidence of that in the previous hearing as well. So let me just get to our experts quickly, just to talk about the quick changes that have been made to the application and the proofs for both co-applicants to show the need for this facility in the area. So if I may ask Neil McDonald to now speak just a little bit about the application. And Michael, if you could put up the site plan, Neil will be referring to that in his discussion. So Neil, please present yourself for the record and describe for us some of the changes to the application since 2016.
Great. Can everybody hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
So my name is Neil, N-E-I-L, MacDonald, M-A-C-D-O-N-A-L-D. I'm with WFC Architects, and we are located in Setauket, New York. So this site is located at 515 Old Dock Road in Kings Park. The property is a rectangular shaped parcel, approximately 44,437 square feet, just over an acre. Subject parcel consists of 4 existing structures as well as a parking area in the front and center of the property. This application is pretty straightforward in that it consists of a proposed 150-foot concealment pole and a fenced equipment compound to host 2 wireless carriers. T-Mobile and AT&T each propose to install 3 antenna sectors, each sector consisting of 2 antennas for a total of 6 antennas per carrier. The 6 antennas for each carrier will be mounted fully within the new 150-foot concealment pole. Antennas shall be mounted with centerline heights of 115 feet, 125 feet, 135 feet, and 145 feet. The proposed equipment compound is 40 feet by 62 feet 6 inches, and it will be enclosed within a 8-foot high fence in the northwest rear side of the property. T-Mobile proposes to install 1 radio cabinet, 1 battery cabinet, 1 telco power panel, 1 emergency backup generator, and a rack containing 9 remote radio units atop a 12-foot by 20-foot poured concrete pad. There will also be a 12-foot by 15-foot weather canopy above, which will have 1 GPS unit mounted to it. AT&T proposes to install 1 walk-in equipment shelter containing indoor equipment racks, as well as various exterior mounted battery, fiber, ATS, power, and telco panels atop a 7-foot 8-inch by 7-foot 8-inch poured concrete pad. In addition, they are proposing 1 emergency generator and a rack containing 15 remote radio units and 2 GPS units mounted to the equipment shelter. The proposed site is an unmanned communications facility. Once every 4 to 6 weeks, a technician in a passenger car will come out to the site to do diagnostic tests and evaluate the network. As such, there will be no increase of vehicle traffic on public roads within the town, and no new curb cuts or parking areas will be needed. Public facilities such as electric and telephone are already on site and are deemed to be adequate to serve the facility. Because the wireless facility is unmanned, there will be no impact on public or private facilities for treatment, removal, and discharge of sewage, refuse, or other matters. The proposed facility will not introduce any new sanitary flow. The new position, as discussed, has been relocated from the center of the property to that northwest corner, where it will be tucked inside the equipment compound and be less visible and less proximate to the public areas of the property. I'm happy to answer any questions you might have on the application.
Thank you, Neil.
Anyone on the board have any questions?
Okay.
No, thank you.
No?
Hey.
All right. Greg, you want to continue, or is that it?
Just two quick folks I'd like to introduce as well, just to talk about that need component I had mentioned. So first I have Neil Arcio, a radio frequency engineer on behalf of AT&T. Michael, if we could take a look at the AT&T maps, if you can just start with that first one. Neil, if you could also now describe for us, well, first introduce yourself, and then just describe for us in quick detail the need that will be served with this facility for AT&T.
Yeah, sure. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you. Okay. My name is Neil Arceo. I am from Promira.
Can you spell your last name, please?
It's ARCEO.
Thank you.
Our main office address is at 2552 Walnut Avenue, Suite 200, Boston, CA 92780. So for this application, AT&T is proposing to install a wireless telecommunications facility in order to address a significant service gap in AT&T's wireless network coverage in the vicinity of the proposed facility in this part of Kings Park, New York. So I have prepared propagation maps to illustrate AT&T's lack of reliable coverage in the area, as well as projected coverage of the proposed facility. These maps were generated using the industry standard propagation modeling tool FORCS ATOL and were calibrated with the latest drive data available at the time of generation. So the map you can see on the screen, that is currently AT&T's coverage in the area. The three different colors represent the three types of coverage. The green represents the in-building coverage, yellow for in-vehicle, and blue for outdoor coverage. For no color, that means there's no reliable coverage. As you can see on this map, there is a serious in-vehicle service deficiency which stretches for about 2 miles along Sunken Meadow Road in the west to St. John Land Road in the east, and about 1.1 miles along Old Dock Road from north to south. The average daily vehicular traffic along Sunken Meadow Road and St. John Land Road is about 4,164. The average daily vehicular traffic on Old Dock Road is about 5,040. In-building coverage is also lacking in the vicinity area as well as the residential area west of the proposed site. This service deficiency is significant and can have serious consequences during times of emergency and disasters. AT&T's proposed site is a covered site. So if you can go to the next slide, please. The next slide shows the projected coverage of the proposed facility at antenna rad center of 145 feet. This allows AT&T to provide reliable service in the vicinity of the premises, as well as good handoffs to neighboring on-air sites. The proposed site at 145 feet centerline height provides approximately 1.11 square miles or 711 acres of reliable in-building coverage. It also provides approximately 1.42 square miles or 906 acres of new in-vehicle coverage. The new coverage serves approximately 2,276 population count in the area as per census data. Lower antenna rad centers are also explored for comparison in the succeeding slides. The next slide shows 125 feet coverage, and the next one shows 105. And the table on the next slide shows the lower the antenna height, the lesser the coverage. Based on AT&T's analysis, 145 feet is the minimum antenna rad center it can go to meet its coverage objective in the area. On the next slide, an alternative ODA solution was also explored. In this case, I've prepared like 7 nodes. The coverage is not much because typically for ODAS, the heights are quite low. So for ODAS solution, it would take about 16 to 24 nodes, a 50 feet rad center, and installed in ideal locations to match the projected coverage of the proposed site. So for this reason, this option is deemed not viable for AT&T.
Neil, thank you. Are there any questions regarding Mr. Arceo's testimony?
No.
Anyone on the board?
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Lighting?
Okay.
All right, Greg, go right ahead.
Thank you. Just one more person I'd like to introduce. That's Kranti Kumar from T-Mobile, who will present to you similarly T-Mobile's need within the area and the facility's ability to fill that coverage gap that currently exists within the area. So Kranti, if you could introduce yourself and then similarly present your findings.
Good evening, everyone. This is Kranti Karambala. I'm a radio frequency engineer with on behalf of T-Mobile. And let me just—
I need the spelling of your name, please.
I was going to get to that. Okay.
Oh, thank you.
Last name, K-A-R-A-N-G-U-L-A. And my office address is 1719 Route 10, New Jersey, suite number 207. Parsippany, New Jersey, 07054. I would pretty much, I think Mr. Arceo, my counterpart from AT&T, has covered the need for a cell site in this particular location. I would like to do a similar, walk you guys through the similar analysis which we did on behalf of T-Mobile. Let me just explain how the legend works. So everything blue, as you guys can see on screen, is where we lack in building and on in vehicle coverage. So all the roads like the Sunken Meadow Road, Old Dock Road, and St. John Land Road, leading up to the 2 major parks in the area, Sunken Meadow Park and the Nisqually River State Park. There is a serious lack of in building and in vehicle coverage along those roads and the residential properties around that area. And if you can go to the next slide, we'd like to, this is a similar analysis where we are proposing a 125 foot monopole. Basically, it's just under AT&T, and we can see a significant improvement in coverage around the area and the parks. So if you can go to the next slide. So this is a similar analysis, but at a lower rad center. So this will show exactly why we need such a rad center or height for this particular monopole. And the next couple of slides shows the same analysis, but with lower rad centers. I think Mr. Arceo from AT&T has already covered the justification needed for that one. And I'm happy to answer any questions you guys have at this point of time.
Okay, thank you. Does anyone on the board or planning have any questions?
No, thank you.
No, thank you.
All right, Greg.
All right, so yes, thank you very much for the time this evening. So just taken together from our previous presentation back 5 years ago, incorporated with the supplemental information that we provide you tonight that shows the inherent need for this facility within the area to fill this coverage gap that exists for wireless communications. The goal here is really to fill that need and to provide that emergency support within the surrounding recreational areas as well to ensure safety of the surrounding areas and folks who live and enjoy it. So thank you again for your time. We ask for a positive decision from you. We understand that the secret still needs to be resolved, but at this point, obviously, if there are any other questions, we would be happy to answer them. So thank you
Okay,
very much.
I will ask. Thank you. Anyone on the board have any questions?
No, thank you.
Again, planning, any questions?
No, thank you.
No. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
I have no comments.
No? Okay, fine. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Good night, gentlemen.
Thank you very much. Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes?
I believe we have the applicant and the, that was not here before. They are here.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that former, what was the application number? I'm sorry. It was,
It's case 18527.
correct, yes.
You want to read that, please, again? And
Sure. Case number 18527, Ketley Faustin, Guy Emmanuel Faustin, 2 Lindell Avenue, Wisconsin. The location of the property, the south side of Lindell Avenue, between Browns Road and Forest Avenue. The property is zoned R10. The applicant is requesting variances to reduce the required front yard on Browns Road from 25 feet to 14 feet, to reduce the required front yard on Forest Avenue from 25 feet to 10 feet for an existing 240 square foot, 5-foot high wood deck.
Okay. Can I have the applicant, please?
Yes. My name is Guy Faustin. My first name is spelled like Guy, G-Y. Last name Faustin.
Okay, thank you. And someone is going to present your case for you?
Yes, we have an expediter on that case.
Okay. Do we have the expediter?
Yes, we do.
Okay. Now, could you state your name, spell your last name for the record, and give your address, please?
My name is Sherry Hillenberg, Hillenberg, for Building Permits Plus. We're at 19 Stillwood, Stillwood Road in Brookhaven, 11719.
Okay, fine. Thank you. You can
I
present your case.
apologize for the board for not being prepared before.
Quite all right. You can present your case now.
Okay, as you see from the survey, this is quite an unusual lot, similar, more like an island surrounded by roadway. Browns Road to the west, Forest to the east, and Liddell to the north. So we technically have all front yards by way of zoning. The applicant replaced an old set of stairs that came out of the back sliding door, which was not built to code because the code provides the code says that you need to provide at least a 3-foot platform to go out that stairs. So they in turn built a deck 12 feet by 20 feet out the back of the house. It is holding the setbacks for the original house, but it's not meeting the setbacks required for a deck, which is 25 feet from both front yards. The width of the property at this point is only 44 feet. So no matter what you build there, it's not going to conform to the 25-foot setbacks from either front yard.
Has a lattice all around.
It has lattice all around the bottom. It's built very nice. It does not take away from the character of the neighborhood at all. What else? Yeah, the lattice has since been removed for the inspection purposes, but it will be put back on. Do I have any questions from the board?
I will ask. Does anyone on the board have any questions on this application?
No, thank you.
Planning?
No, thank you.
No. Excuse me. Is there anyone in the audience that'd like to be heard on this application?
No, Chairman. Oh, hang on a second. Yes, hang on a second. Sorry about that. They came in. Joel Sinanen, I'm sorry if I pronounced your name wrong, but if you can just give us the name of the spelling of your name, your full name, sorry, and your address before you begin.
Sure. Hi, guys. Hello. Everybody hear me?
Yes.
Hi, how are you? Nice to meet you guys. Sorry to keep you guys. So my name is Joel. First name Joel, last name Sinanan, Sinanan. This is my wife, Caitlin.
I spell my name Kaitlynn, last name Menino, Mannino. We are the new owners who just took over from Guy and Ketley, who you heard from earlier.
Oh, okay.
We just wanted to introduce ourselves because we are now going to be, of course, responsible for the property and the maintenance. As Sherry explained prior, the deck is not, the deck is parallel to the house itself. It's not expanding the width of the property. And of course, since the house was allowed to be built in the first place, it can't really go anywhere else. But you see, it does not extend past the width of the house from the back here. We've spoken with the neighbors, all of them who have a direct line of sight to the property, and you'll notice none of them are on the call this evening, and that is because we're confident that they have no objections to it. Anybody who can see it has not raised an issue with it to us. It's visible as the side of the house is from the road itself. There's nothing really new to see there.
Yeah, I mean, the deck's just, it's beautifully built, adds to the charm of the neighborhood, like Sherry said. So, I hope, I hope it's there. But other than that, I mean, there's nothing really else to say. It adds to the quality of the neighborhood, the quality of life for us, and really just keeping up, the appearances of the area, neighborhood, the area. So.
Yeah, and just as a closing point, we do hope that it adds a considerable value to the property itself. It definitely did for us. We look forward to your consideration of it, and we look forward to paying taxes on it once it is legalized.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, and good luck with your new home.
Thank you so much.
If I could just add a note, while we were putting up the signs along Forest Avenue, we did meet with several of the neighbors that were outside while we were doing it, and they were all very, very happy about the deck. They had no problems whatsoever. They love the way it looks, and just wanted to add that in.
Okay, great. No one else, Nicole?
No, Chairman.
No. Okay. Can I have a motion to close the application, please?
So moved.
Second.
Motion has been made to close the application. It's been seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Good night,
Thank you.
all.
Have a good evening.
You too. Thank you. And that concludes our meeting for tonight.